Eddie Asabi here. UFC 126 is only a few hours away, and to be honest with you, there are a lot of matches on this card that have potential of being Fight of the Year candidates. This card is stacked, and the main event matchup between Anderson Sliva and Vitor Belfort has the potential of being one of the best middleweight title matches of all time. But before I start talking about that matchup and other matchups, make sure if you want to fight professionally, you check out my site at the bottom of the description, howtobeanMMAfighter.com. Any of you watching this video who have dreams of fighting in the big MMA leagues or just to become a fighter professionally, getting into MMA is not easy at all. And being a successful MMA fighter is not easy at all. So I advise you to go to my site, check it out. Got lots of useful information. Anyway, back to UFC 126. Anderson Sliva versus Vitor Belfort. Vitor Belfort is probably the most dangerous challenge Anderson Sliva has faced since being in the UFC. The reason why I say this is because Vitor Belfort is a striker. Most of Anderson Sliva's other challengers have been either wrestlers or jiu-jitsu guys or well-rounded guys who are not really masters at anything. But Vitor Belfort has dangerous hands. Vitor Belfort was knocking out people at age 19. He was knocking out contenders left, right and center. So Anderson Sliva needs to up his game if he wants to put away Vitor Belfort. Having said that, Anderson Sliva has proven over the years that he is as tough as they come. The matchup against Chael Sonnen has shown that even when Anderson is up against the fiercest adversity, he can somehow find a way to win. There have been a lot of critics about Anderson Sliva's performances, but make no mistake, in my eyes, Anderson Sliva is still hands down, pound for pound #1 fighter in the world. Some people disagree, but for me, the mark of a true champion is coming through adversity, and as I said earlier, the matchup against Chael Sonnen solidified Anderson Sliva as pound for pound contender, in my personal opinion. Anderson has explosive striking. We all know that. So the matchup between Vitor, I'm telling you, Fight of the Year contender is a possibility. If Vitor comes out swinging and goes for Anderson, this could be a crazy matchup. He has the potential of knocking Anderson out. But having said that, Anderson has the potential of knocking him out. It could go either way. You know, Vitor has so much motivation on his hands. Win this fight, and he will be the only man in history to have held 3 UFC titles in 3 different weight divisions. But Anderson has motivation of his own. Vitor once trained with Blackhouse and has now turned his back on Anderson for a title shot. I saw the recent photo opportunity between the two of them, hyping up the fight, and Anderson Sliva just did not look pleased with Vitor Belfort at all. I think this is the first time Anderson has actually made discouraging remarks about an opponent. But one thing I personally believe is this match won't go to a decision. I'll be extremely surprised if it goes to a decision. The next matchup on the card is a co-main event between 2 former UFC champions, Forrest Griffin and Rich Franklin. I think this matchup really is going to be fight of the night. Both of these guys like to fight. They like to leave it all hanging out. They'll fight if even they're not 100%, as Rich Franklin proved in the match against Chuck Liddell, fighting with a broken arm. But Rich Franklin came out with a victory in that match. You know, I'm not going to lie, I'm not the biggest Rich Franklin fan, but I have to respect what he's done in the game of MMA. To have 5 defeats in a career as stellar as his, I take my hat off to him. And those defeats are to the likes of Machida, Anderson Sliva, Dan Henderson, just to name a couple of the defeats. So Rich Franklin has a lot going for him at the moment, and plus he wants to climb the rankings of that 205-pound division, which is just extremely stacked full of talent right about now. This too is also an important fight for Forrest Griffin. Forrest Griffin is literally coming back from a serious injury, having fought Tito Ortiz and got revenge for his split decision defeat a few years ago. Now Forrest needs to win, obviously, as every fighter does, for him to stay relevant in the 205-pound division. You know, there's a lot of up-and-coming guys who are taking spots in that top 5, top 7. So although Forrest is a former champion, he really needs to show that he is relevant and can make a difference in the division. Speaking of two up-and-coming guys in the 205 division, Ryan Bader against John Jones is another match that just has the makings of a classic. Surprising, both of these men are meeting earlier in their careers when they're both rising stars, but I have a feeling this is going to be the first of a trilogy. Couple of years down the line, I could see the two of them fighting for a title, and we'll be looking back on this match and saying this was where either of the winners took the step to the next level. You know, Bader is a wrestler, tough, heavy hands. Jones, Mr. Explosive, Mr. Unorthodox, Mr. Crazy Fight. Both guys are explosive, but I think most people will agree Jones is more of an explosive fighter. Some of the moves that he does, spinning back fists and things of that nature, are just totally insane and fun to watch. Ryan Bader, he's a grinder to some extent, but his knockout of Keith Jardine was just outstanding. So John Jones really needs to be on his guard, because Bader at any time could hit him with a heavy hook, and that was just send Jones to sleep. Bader knows what to look for in John Jones: dangerous explosiveness, and as I said earlier, unpredictability. And Jones has had some devastating victories, particularly breaking Brandon Vera's eye in the matchup between the two of them. Overall, as I said, UFC 126 has the potential this earlier on in the year to be one of the best pay-per-view cards. And I'm sure come December, we'll be talking about UFC 126 as being an extremely incredible event. Don't forget, check out my site, howtobeanMMAfighter.com. I'm here to help you guys who wish to get into the profession of mixed martial arts. It's the fastest growing sport in the world. So take this opportunity, check out my site, sign up, make your comments on my videos, and I look forward to speaking to you all again real soon.